Well, hello everyone. Here to show you the full class story coloring activity right here. As you see right here is that you got right here is the coloring activity, part right here is like picture of me right here. And let's just say that, the story we're talking about me and in front of like what you call is like the full class right here. And this story of course would have been taking place, back in early, 1990 it was, maybe say between 1990 and of course 95 and of course 96 and 97 it was. And knowing about right here is you have other other students of course in the classroom it was is you have a line of students. A lot of times to do is at least 15 maybe 20 kids of course in the classroom it was. And if I can tell everybody that the whole part of the story right here is basically talking about right here is that this coloring activity talk about with full class story is basically right here is that you have a number of desks right here. There's be like a kid student right here, and then of course another student, and then of course there will be somebody another student at about right here. A lot of times that it usually goes by with like we say especially in the third grade that you're going to have like what you call like the boys, and then the girls of course are going to be, I don't even know if some school districts have them to where they have them in separate classrooms, but you have right here is that that one classroom would contain at least 8 boys, and then of course maybe about 5 or 7 girls, something like that. I would say altogether that there was at least 15-20 desks of course in the classroom it was. And that knowing about that you have right here is that the classroom desk right here. But anyway, that I can tell anybody here that talking about with the classroom, so that if it was like what you call like a student about right here it was, it's like if he were to be sitting, if the student were to be sitting down it was, you got right here is the chair right here. And then of course on this side right here that I can remember this at my elementary school I went to, that there would be like somebody that would be sitting at about right here it is. And knowing about that somebody sitting at about right here. And I can tell anybody that whenever I transferred school districts it was that I remember I went to about 3 different elementary schools it was, like I may have said a number of times. And knowing about that whenever I would walk into the classroom it was, especially over there at Becky David, that I can remember that I remember the shyness and of course of knowing about knowing everybody there in the classroom it was, especially if we were doing something related to like maybe a spelling test or maybe any type of a history, if we would be doing a science project or anything like that, of knowing about that the amount of students of course that they will be in the classroom. And I can remember one time of course I can remember even cheating on my math test once, and it's like I would suggest to anybody that might that really passionate for the grade, then the more likely it's like that they ain't going to give you your points of course if you don't follow the rules. But anyway, that was talking about is like for the full class story is basically you see right here is that knowing about that I could tell anybody the truth of the matter is that that with me that one of the reasons maybe I was in special needs classes of course was the fact about that I really didn't like the idea of being in the classroom with about maybe 15 or 20 or more students it was, and a lot of times the work they gave you a lot of times. And knowing about with me though that I can still remember a little bit of the memories of course from whenever I was in the second and of course the third grade it was, is being right here on the desk it was. And knowing about that I was that type of kid to where that I was afraid of course to stand in front of the classroom to talk about something if it was related to maybe a history project or a science project or anything like that, is knowing about that the teacher would if you would be reading a story or reading a book, that a lot of times that they would want you to read in front of they would call your name a couple of times. They would call your name a couple of times, and they would that there would be kids in the classroom that would raise their hand, and I would not even know all the kids' names of course, that I would apparently that I only knew about maybe 4 or 5 people there in the classroom, because during that time that I would go to the classroom, and then from the classroom and then go see another teacher apparently, who would if the teacher gave me something to work on from class, that I would see another teacher, and then they would explain to me and ask me if I needed help understanding anything. And I can't think of that particular name for the teacher, but anyway, that knowing about that you have right here is with my with my teachers, though, that with my teachers, that they would teach me, give you work to do. And a lot of times I was kind of like that, to where that if I would be laughing or something like that, or maybe have a lot of shyness, a lot of times the teachers seemed like that they always thought about that there was something wrong with me. It was, and I looked at myself as pretty much normal, just like almost everybody else. And a lot of the kids there in the classroom, of course, they had their own opinion, knowing about that. Of course, standing in front of a bunch of people a lot of times, kind of got me nervous. Really, it's like on that nervous side, and I guess you could say maybe the shyness side. But on the other hand, too, that the way I would think about it is like, ever since I got older, kind of realized I'm like that. Sometimes you just kind of try to look say beyond and knowing about your fears. It is knowing about when people look at you, especially if you're on stage doing something, that more likely that there's going to be people looking at you, and they may laugh at you. And I know a couple times that maybe a few assemblies that